take this discussion forward. What could Trump 2.0 really mean for India and the world? We have none other than Swaminathan Aiyar, consulting editor ET Now as well, joining in on the show right now. Swami, morning. Glad that you could take time out and speak with us today. Tell me, how is it that you think Trump's foreign policy could be and what it could spell for India in particular?
In for an exciting but rather uncomfortable time. Mr. Trump has come promising to change the world. He wants to tear up things like, the traditional NATO relationship, the traditional NAFTA relationship, the whole WTO structure, the whole World Climate Agreement structure. I mean, he claims he wants to change things all over. For India, the biggest danger in this is that he will start a trade war. I mean, he has threatened to put tariffs of 10% on everybody, or 60% on China. He has called India a trade king, and says that, look at India, it put such high import duties on American bikes, but we allowed it almost duty free. We are not going to allow this. So I think India is in for an uncomfortable time, but just like all other countries are going to be in for a very uncomfortable time, there is a danger that, when he puts these trade tariffs, Europe will retaliate, Japan will retaliate, we will retaliate. I would just say on our own part, let us not be very aggressive on retaliating, because in the mood of this guy, if you retaliate, he will retaliate even more. I mean, that is the kind of trade war we are fearing, that there will be an escalation and escalation. And all that we can do is wait and watch and hope that the escalation is limited. It is not in our interest to go very far. And then we can wait to see that if Trump, after all, after 4 years, he'll be replaced by somebody else. Maybe then we will return to a more normal world. But right now, we face a pretty tough prospect on trade. I am not an optimist at all that Trump will be held back.
Right. And how is it that you're seeing his presidency in context with global relations and climate change?
Foreign policy, he is an isolationist. He has no particular interest in pursuing. He says he wants to bring a ceasefire in the Ukraine. I think our greatest concern is that China may come to the conclusion that it may never again have a president who is so reluctant to intervene in an invasion of Taiwan. So it may say that this is the good time to invade in Taiwan. I hope that does not happen. I think that would affect us adversely, because if China managed to attack Taiwan and take it over, I think India's Arunachal Pradesh will be next on China's agenda. So I think it would be greatly against our interest to have any escalation in East Asia. We need to hope that Trump remains focused on East Asia and is not allowed to make any gains out there. And if China doesn't make gains there, it is that much less likely to take on India as well. On climate, I mean, he's a total climate skeptic. He had last time pulled China out of the climate conference. Biden put it back, but he once again will take it out. So I think for climate, the thing is, look, just forget about trying to get to net zero quickly. With new technology being cheaper, we should adopt it anyway and go ahead. But don't sit around sacrificing anything. Don't shut down your power plants quickly. We will need thermal power plants for quite some time. So produce as much thermal power as you need, even as we go green and set up solar and wind power. So I think these are the main lessons that we have to look out for in a Trump presidency.
All right, quite interesting to know. Good morning, sir. This is Shrishti also joining in. Now, given the evolving geopolitical landscape, do you foresee increasingly volatile neighborhood around India in the near term and particularly under the Trump administration?
Near term, in our neighborhood, I don't expect very much change. I don't think it will be going to impact our relations very much with Pakistan, Bangladesh. Sri Lanka. I don't think anything will change very much there. US relations with Pakistan have already cooled and they will continue to be cooled. There is no sense in which Trump sees any great advantage in backing Pakistan in any strong way. The notion that it's the gateway to Afghanistan, it's all gone. Taliban has taken over there. And Trump says that it was a mistake to get into this kind of thing anyway. So in an immediate neighborhood, no, I do not see chances of a disruption. The real problem, I think, is that his isolationism may encourage Chinese adventurism, either in the South China Sea or in Taiwan.
Swami sir, always a delight to have you on ET now, but I'll just talk about the obvious, which is Trump and China and Trump's relationship with China. Everyone is assuming that there would be a big change in terms of how the China and America trade versus the political equation would change. What is your view? How do you see Trump administration both evolving and changing their equation with the Chinese government and with China as a trade partner?
It is possible that we will gain something from the trade war between the USA and China, which is already taking place, and this will not be a new development. Already there have been huge tariffs put to prevent Chinese imports of renewable energy, and it is still not clear whether the Chinese will be allowed to export any electric cars to the USA. Trump will doubtless double down on those particular efforts. There is a theory that this will induce foreign investors to diversify out of China, create a China plus one policy that, instead of just investing in China, they will also invest in other countries, and India can get a slice of that shift. I'm afraid we've been hoping for this already for the last 5 years, and very little of that China plus one stuff has actually come to India. A lot of it has gone to Vietnam, Laos, Mexico, various other countries. Very little to us, because I'm afraid our overall attitude to foreign investment is not particularly good. People do not believe that this is a government that welcomes foreign investment. People are afraid that India will back local champions against anybody who comes in. And for these reasons, secondly, we are not allowing Chinese investment. The various Chinese companies that want to come in and invest in electric vehicles and solar and batteries, and or many of them we have not been allowing. So if you don't allow Chinese companies also to come in, then the idea of people diversifying out of China, that again is getting limited because you are unable to create a supply chain. So we need to liberalize these things and look more favorably and not keep backing our national champions against foreign investment. If you do that, then you can get some more benefit of the China plus one thing as the trade war with China escalates.
But Swami Sahab, do you think the controversy over the H-1B visas to Indian tech workers settle down anytime soon in the near future? Because there's been a lot of news flow and uncertainty regarding this one as well.
Without doubt, Trump again has been against getting the H-1B visas. But it's not just him. Others have also tried to do this. But you see, the remarkable thing is the main effect of trying to keep Indians out on H-1B has been that more and more of that IT work has simply been offshored directly to India. So instead of Indians going to America for that work, the work from America has come to India to the point where on a particular project, I remember there was a time in 2000 when 70% of an IT job in America, 70% would be done onshore in America and 30% here. Today, up to 90% will be done in India and only 10% there. So in other words, the attempt to prevent Indians from going there has backfired. The result has not been that more and more work is done in America, but that more and more work is directly offshored to India. So actually, we have been a gainer. So I would say, we should stop worrying about the H-1B visa problem. Yes, it does have negative effect. But if you today the result has been that offshoring has come on such a large scale that we now have these what are called global capability centers. Hundreds of multinationals are now shifted to India. They are doing not just the IT work, but the upscale work, the artificial intelligence work, the cloud work, R&D on it. It's all coming and being done now in India. This is one reason why our services exports in November for the first time have become larger than our merchandise exports.
Swami, can the Trump regime or can Donald Trump make the impossible look easy, which is a truce between Russia and Ukraine? I mean, can he really kickstart or accelerated this ceasefire?
It is not possible for Mr. Trump to force Ukraine to accept a ceasefire. In the worst case scenario, if he says, I am not going to supply any more arms, even then, that does not, I think, result in an automatic end to the war, because the Europeans are very, very keen on continuing support to Zelensky as long as he wants to fight. Now, back-channel talks have taken place on a ceasefire. They have taken place on the idea that if you have approximately along the current ceasefire line, then Russia may be able to keep this slice, about a quarter of Ukraine it has taken over. Possibly at some point of time, without ending the war formally, there may be a ceasefire, and the ceasefire may be violated and things may remain uncertain. But the chances of a ceasefire are higher. And at the end of it, you see, both sides can declare victory. Ukraine can say that, Russia wanted to take over the whole country and we have stopped it, more or less, at the Dnieper River. And Russia, on the other hand, can say, look, the whole world tried to stop us and they couldn't stop us from taking over the slice of territory. You can rephrase what your original aims were. So it is possible. I mean, this was talked about, as I said, even before the Trump won the election. And it will be talked about even more now because there's certain exhaustion. But don't count on a very quick end. It may not come very quickly. I think the Europeans will declare that even if Trump is not helping, we will continue to help Zelensky as long as he wants to fight. Now, if he himself is okay with a ceasefire, that will happen.
And lastly, there's been a lot happening within the currency market as well, and Indian rupee has touched its all-time low recently. Now, with fears of uncertainty over the trade tariffs and global geopolitics, do you see the rupee and the other emerging market currencies to remain under pressure after Trump becomes president, or there could be some respite?
Yes, I think that is absolutely the case. I do think the rupee will continue. I think the capital will continue to say, let's go. There are so many uncertainties. Let us seek a safe haven. The safest haven is the dollar. And the riskiest areas are the emerging markets. So some movement from the emerging markets to American treasuries, I think, is inevitable. What you're seeing is just the start. It is not going to stop. And that applies as much to the currency problem as it is to foreign portfolio investment. I think foreign portfolio investment too could keep selling in India and forcing the stock market down. So I would say neither the rupee nor the stock market is going to look very healthy after Mr. Trump comes to power.
All right, Swami sir, with this we'll let you go on that. Great chatting with you and also understand the perspective on how you're looking at the Trump inauguration and the likely impact on not just the markets but on the other asset classes as well. But if you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.